John Mateer has the raw physical tools to be an impact quarterback at the NFL level, but he must refine his game if he wants to be a 2027 first-round pick.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here. Let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started right now. On today's episode, I'm breaking down John Mateer for the summer scouting profile. Guys, later on, I'm going to explain the grade and where I have him graded and where he can get better and all the type of things. We're going to talk about the concerns about his game and what he has to improve on. But we're going to kick this thing off with the pros, the things that really entice NFL scouts, myself, and everyone else that he could be a first-round pick. John Mateer is a quarterback listed at, 6'1". He's listed at 6'1", 220 pounds, coming off a season where he completed 62.2% of his passes, thrown for 2,885 passing yards, 22 total touchdowns. John Mateer also accounted for 11 interceptions last year. And then his rushing, because we know he is somewhat of a dual threat, off 134 rushes, 565 rushing yards. He is a talented quarterback that physically he checks the boxes for an impact player, for an impact quarterback. He checks those boxes. And the things that stand out when you watch John Mateer overall is the arm talent. He could put he has easy gas, easy velocity and RPMs in the short and intermediate parts of the field. This is a guy that had that sidearm all 2025, that sidearm throwing motion and throwing action, which we'll talk about a little bit later, where you just see him rip throws and just hole shots. I think it was against Michigan where he had a hole shot about 20, 30 yards down the field versus I think it was cover two or two man under, and he fit the ball between the safety and the underneath corner to Deion Burks, his starting wide receiver, his best. Well, I wouldn't say his best wide receiver. It was Isaiah Centennial, was the guy that he really, really leaned on. But that was his other playmaker, Deion Burks, and who's now with the Indianapolis Colts. And when you look at John Mateer, that ability to power the ball, throw with velocity, throw with the RPMs, that is a really good trait that he has. And I love that about his game. This is a guy that mentally, I don't think that he's a mentally shaken quarterback. Like, there are games where he definitely threw some interceptions, and we'll talk about that. But when you think about that LSU game, he had that, right? He had that situation happen to him. But this is a gamer. He is a gamer through and through. He has a gamer mentality. He's mentally tough. I love that. We talk about the intangibles on this podcast. It's not just the physical. It's not just accuracy. Who are you mentally? Who are you? Are you physically tough, right? He's a guy, I'm going to be honest, I don't believe he's a quarterback what we've seen this from quarterbacks, right? Bryce Young went from Alabama to the Carolina Panthers, and we've seen that he is not they haven't fully given him the reins as a franchise quarterback. He's never had a winning record, and he's just been way too inconsistent in everything, right? So we talk about it on this pod. You can't taking guys from these really cozy, just rainbow and sunshine situations in college and then dropping them in, I don't know, the desert, you know what I mean? With no water and everything else. And you gotta just figure it out in the NFL. Yeah. Some guys are cut out for it. Some guys aren't. And we're seeing right now, we're seeing that with multiple first round picks. We always say this for first round, for top picks. If you're a quarterback, 9 times out of 10, you're going to a bad team. Look at Cam Ward going to the Tennessee Titans. Offensive line wasn't good, even though they signed Dan Moore. They needed receiver help. There's a lot, right? So I think John Mateer mentally is a guy that, because he has that gamer mentality, he can step into a bad situation and make the best out of it. I'm not saying he's going to take a bad team to the Super Bowl, but I think will you have to live and die with some, hero ball stuff? Maybe, but he's a guy that's always going to keep you in games because of that gamer mentality. So I love that about his game as well. And then the athleticism and mobility. This is a guy, again, over 500 yards rushing on 134 carries. John Mateer has vision somewhat of a running back. You'll see him tuck the ball and attack and start to run upfield in between, run up and oppress the line of scrimmage and then cut off of either a second level defender triggering into that gap or a defensive tackle went shedding and starting to shed into that gap. And he just cuts across the grain, cuts across their leverage. And now you see him get 5, 7, 8 to 10 yards, sometimes even 20-yard runs. Like you see that ability as a runner to stop, start, and the agility. But then also he has good speed too. And again, he's 6'1". He's just at 6'1", 220. So he is a dense, compact built quarterback. I'm going to call him a running back, quarterback who you think about in the NFL. We get in the red zone and things like that. I need a quarterback that can make you play 11 on 11, right? A guy that I don't have to call QB power. You can engage that yourself. I don't have to call QB draw. Your instincts and your IQ post snap allows you to do that and make that call on the fly, right? Those type of things. Or you have that intuitive ability to scramble and make things happen when there's nothing open. He's that type of quarterback, right? Where Oklahoma's offensive line was not great last year. They could barely run the ball. Pass protection was so-so at times. And I hope that they like the offensive line plays at a high level this year, because if they can run the ball, take some of that pressure off Mateer, listen, they're going to be a real threat in the SEC. I'm just telling you, they're going to be a real threat with Brent Venables, the defensive mastermind that Brent Venables is. Yeah, they're going to be a problem in the SEC and in college football if that offensive line, and they can give them that offensive line plays well and give them some semblance of balance with their play calling with run versus pass. But when you look at John Mateer, again, from a mobility standpoint, this is a guy that he was able, chaos didn't bother him. And that's that mentality. So when you have that mentality with the athleticism and then the raw physical tools as a passer, you have a really good framework and groundwork to build upon, right? From an offensive coordinator and QB coach standpoint and everything with said quarterback, with John Mateer. I feel like he displays solid accuracy. That we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But overall, this is a physically gifted quarterback that has and checks a lot of the boxes that we look for. You should look at Bo Nix. We look at these quarterbacks coming into the NFL, the Drake Mays of the world, all these guys. What are they? They're mobile. They're athletic. They have big arms. They can throw from any platform. They can throw in structure and out of structure. That's a key thing. You break a defense's back when you break contain and throw a ball down the field on 3rd and 10 for 40 yards or for 20 yards or for 15, and you just get the first down, right? When you use your legs on the move and create those second and even third reaction throws, and now the defense, like I said, it's all about business decisions. Everybody on the field has a business decision. Second level defenders in zone. Do you plaster your guy? Do you stick to your guy? Or do you try and go and attack the line of scrimmage and prevent the quarterback from running for the first down? It's a give and take either way, because of an instinctive and intuitive quarterback. The moment they realize you're triggering to them, they throw the ball and replace you with the football. Wherever you left, they go ahead and throw in that direction to that receiver, that tight end, that running back, whoever their receiving threat is, that's who they target in that situation. So again, that mobility, the way he plays, like you see it, man, this guy has big time upside. John Mateer has big time upside. And yes, it'll be even better if he was 6'3", 6'4". He might be 6'1", 6'1". Like truly, right? He might be on that Russell Wilson type of plane. But still, yet, when you look at the physical ability of a John Mateer, you see a potential impact player and, dare I say, a franchise quarterback if you can refine and smooth out some of those rough edges. But speaking of rough edges, let's talk about what you talking about. What goes up comes down, and we talk about the good and the bad on this podcast. We're going to talk about the concerns when it comes down to Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer as an 2027 NFL draft prospect coming up next. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. And now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on the match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. But not only that, guys, you can get in on early NFL draft betting odds for who will be the #1 overall pick, from Sam Levitt to DJ Lagway, the cornerback from Notre Dame, Leonard Moore. But the subject of today's episode, John Mateer, is plus 6,500. So from the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started right now. Before I break down the concerns about John Mateer's game, guys, get your daily Locked On NFL Draft fix completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right now and get closer to me and Keith, your favorite NFL draft analyst, without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes to go to lockedonnfldraft.supercast.com to claim your free trial. John Mateer. The concerns when it comes down to John Mateer. I said it earlier, guys. He threw 11 interceptions last season. Threw 11. And I give him a little bit of grace because, if you remember, he suffered the thumb injury a couple of weeks before the Texas game, right? And that's when I think Texas season really turned around and things like that, because they beat Oklahoma and they started kind of rattling off some wins and whatnot. And John Mateer threw 3 interceptions in that game. Right? 3 interceptions in that game. But then, so that's 3 of the 11. But then also against LSU, he threw 3 interceptions. The other games, it was either 0 interceptions or 1, right? Even against Michigan, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Like, he started the season out with 3 straight games with 1 interception. But he had a touchdown to interception ratio after the first 3 weeks of 5-3. Right. Still, now after that, then he played Auburn, 0 interceptions in that game. Right. He played a really sound game and everything. But the interception coming in bunches, the decision making, that stuff can definitely cause some issues and make you really wonder about him. The decision making, protecting the football, he's got to just get better at that. He's got a gunslinger mentality, which, again, as we always like to say, I rather have a dog that I say, whoa, than trying to train a dog to go sick them. Some dogs aren't mentally, they just aren't mentally like set up, right, and structured to be protective and to protect the house and be a vicious, aggressive dog when the time comes. Some dogs are set up mentally where it's in their gene pool or whatever. It's just who they are. They're a little bit more of an aggressive breed. So understanding what you have. So for me, I want a dog that's a dog. I want a dog that, hey, I know for a fact if anything ever happens, I know you're coming. If I'm out in the yard and another dog comes into the yard and tries to attack me just for being crazy, I know I need a dog. I need my pet, my dog, to go and handle that business, right? Protect pops. Protect pops, okay? But that's what you look for. And I think that's what we talk about with prospects. Yes, I want an aggressive passer that I can I can wane down and rein in that aggression. Like passive quarterbacks, I can't do nothing with you. I can't teach you to be aggressive and we're down and we need you to throw the ball down the field and you just don't want, that's not your game. I'm sorry. I can't do anything with that. So yes, the aggression needs to tone down, but at the same time, I will say that is something that I want in the quarterback, but we just got to make it more controlled. But his biggest issue to me, not like the turnovers, because LSU, the turnovers, like, and this goes into my third point. I want to see, like, and I think we're trending in that direction. I've talked about it, I mentioned it. Listen to him talk about the fact that, hey, starting to use more of a more compact, throwing motion, less sidearm action. Throwing action from John Mateer is going to be big for me because, like, when you look at the LSU game, his first interception in that game was a sidearm throw that was batted at the line of scrimmage. So if you're 6'6" and you're throwing sidearm, you're throwing with a low trajectory. You're throwing low, right? It's a low throwing motion. Your arm slot is low, and those big defensive linemen can just get their hands up and knock the ball down, right? But also it impacts accuracy. There's times, like I think was it against Michigan? I can't remember if it was against Michigan or not. He had, I think it was Deion Burks, down the field on a go route, sidearmed it. The ball trajectory, there's no lift to it. There's no arc to it. It's a straight line shot. He threw last year like a shortstop on kind of that double play in baseball. Like that's what he threw it as. And I want to see him change that to where your accuracy and your placement, it benefits those things. Because again, on that go ball, the ball hit I think the receiver or the DB in the back of the head. And I'm like, okay, John, we can't have that. Like that's 7 points there. You throw this over the top, kind of overhanded, right? More of a traditional compact throwing motion. You put some air underneath that, your guy's going to run underneath it, period, right? But again, I think also with the sidearm action, he has less control where he places the ball. There's too many high throws on film with him. Too many. Isaiah Centenia, who was his top wide receiver, him and Deion Burks, and then Kanak, the tight end, who's more of a H-back type guy in the NFL from an NFL standpoint from size. Those guys had to make some helmet or higher grabs working across the middle of the field. This was the early 2000s. These guys getting their blocks knocked off. You hear me? I'm talking jaw rattled, helmet popping off. You know what I mean? Wasn't there, not that you got mossed. We all know about that, right? Wasn't there a segment on ESPN or you got jacked? Or you let me know in the comments on YouTube or hit me up on Twitter. Let me know. Maybe I'm getting something mixed up. I feel like they had like a hard hitting segment in the early 2000s on ESPN like that, where they show like the biggest hits from the week or whatever the case may be. Yeah, the way John Matera leave his guys out to dry at times. And I'm not saying it's intentional. It's just that sidearm action. It really it decreased his control over his placement and his accuracy. So I want to see him get better with that, right? Just eliminate all that side action stuff. Yes, it's necessary at times, right? You look at if you're on social media, you following the Titans and Cam Ward's progress through OTAs and everything. You will see him sidearm around defenders and offensive linemen. He's thrown touchdowns in camp that way in OTAs, just because he's leaning and he sidearms it. That's an appropriate situation. What you don't do is sidearm every single throw. No, do not get like that. So the turnover in bunches, the decision making, protecting the football, right? Again, just harness some of that. Be aggressive when you need to be aggressive. Okay? Like some plays you got to let play out. Okay? Let the game come to you. Let the play come to you. And I think if he does those things, he's going to really help himself. And then less sidearm action so that he can be the most accurate version of himself. Because again, as I continue to say, he has almost game-changing impact player, but for sure impact player raw tools and traits physically. The arm talent, the mobility, strength in the pocket, rushing ability, all of that. This is a guy that can run for 400 or 500 yards in the NFL and give you 5 to 8 touchdowns a season, but probably also throw 30 touchdowns. He can be one of those type of quarterbacks. But there's things that he has to clean up. He's rough around the edges, and I truly believe in the ceiling of this young man. I truly do, and that's why I'm talking about it in this way with so much passion and excitement. This young man is that gifted and that talented that if we can get him to be a refined version of himself, look out, man. I got a comp for you guys. I know it's a dual comp. It's a dual comp, but meshing two players' styles together. And yeah, I'm not going to give you any more information than that until actually after the break. So coming up next, guys, I'm going to explain my grade, give you the comps and everything about John Matera, Oklahoma star quarterback, heading into the 2026 college football season for the 2027 NFL draft. Workplace chaos can show up fast. That's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach candidates who actually fit what you're looking for based on skills, experience, and location. Finding the right person can make all the difference, whether it's building a business or building a team. One great addition can have a ripple effect on everyone around them. When you find someone who brings in the right attitude, the right skills, and experience, it makes the entire group better. That's why finding qualified candidates matters so much, and why tools like Indeed Sponsored Jobs can make that process easier. So, listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? Well, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network in America. Is all because of you. And before I continue, guys, hey, to all my fathers out there, happy Father's Day, man. Just remember, you're needed, you're loved, your family needs you, your children need you, your spouse needs you. To all my fathers out there, all my great dads out there, hey, appreciate you guys. From one dad to another, love you, continue to be great, continue to make an impact, continue to do what you do. But let's talk about John Mateer, guys. My grade for John Mateer right now, I gave him a top of the third round grade. So John Mateer, he's late second, early third. I think that he has first round potential. And I think this is a guy that could be drafted as a top 5 quarterback in the class. Right, we look at. I talked about Bo Nix. I talked about Drake May. Look at Jackson Dart and his impact. I think Jackson Dart ran for like 500 something yards last year for the Giants. Had like 7 8 touchdowns. Right? Do I want Jackson Dart? Do I think he's built for that type of action year after year? I do not. I want him throwing the football more than I want him running it. But he gives me that extra oomph to play calling. Right, and John Mateer does as well. But the accuracy again in the NFL, like you can't throw high. You can't miss high. You can't have high ball placement. And again, I've seen him throw some clips of him throwing, and it looks like more of an over-the-top throwing motion, more compact, things like that. I think that's going to help. But one thing we always talk about, I'm at this point where I see guys train, and I appreciate the training. I appreciate the videos, all of that stuff. But I'm going to bring something to you, basketball. How many times did we see Ben Simmons drop a workout video over the last 7 years of him shooting threes and shooting mid-range jumpers and all stuff like that? And then we get to the NBA season, and he reverted right back to the mental place he was. He reverted right back to being a pick and roll, drive and finish guy, drive and kick point guard who's 6'9", and he would not shoot the 3-ball. He would not shoot the mid-range. He didn't shoot at all, even though he gave us multiple videos of him knocking down threes and knocking down jumpers in the offseason, right? Muscle memory is a big thing. So for somebody working on their mechanics and stuff, I need to see it in real games to so that they make sure they don't revert back to the way their muscle memorized for them. So that's why I have him as a late second, early third. But I truly believe this is a guy that could be a first round pick. Like Jackson Dart went round 1, and I think he's more physically gifted than Jackson Dart. And I think I said that last year, coming into summer scouting, I said he is a more mobile version and a more physical runner, just a better runner in my opinion than Jackson Dart, right? A better athlete, better arm talent, all that stuff. So Jackson Dart went round 1, right? We've seen it, right? Mac Jones went round 1. We just saw Ty Simpson off the back stretch of the season he had go round 1, go top 15. It's not out of the realm of possibilities that John Mateer, I'll say this, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that we get 5 first-round quarterbacks. It's not. Is it a guarantee? Absolutely not. It's not a guarantee at all. It is not a guarantee, but it's more than a possibility. How talented and physically gifted this class is, right? So, yeah, man, I think with John Mateer, I look forward to seeing his growth this season and everything. And this young man is he's just gifted. And he's one of my guys. He's a Dames dude. I'm telling you right now. Yes, don't get the early grade trip. Don't get that twisted. Oh man, how you really say you like him and you gave him a late second, early third. Guys, I'm setting the floor. Okay, that's the floor. His ceiling is a first round quarterback. but that's the floor for him, in my opinion. Off of last season, he goes in, reduces those interceptions, right? Improves the decision making, harness that aggressiveness and that gunslinger mentality, throw with a better throwing motion, be more accurate, throw with better placement. Oh yeah, you got yourself a first-round quarterback, at worst second-round quarterback, right? Now, let's get into the comp. The comp for me is a combination of two former Oklahoma quarterbacks. And no, Kyler Murray is not in that mix, and neither is Sam Bradford. He, to me, mentality-wise, is Baker Mayfield. Physically, from a throwing standpoint, he's Baker Mayfield. Big arm, velocity, strength, can power the ball, right? And all that type of stuff, right? Probably similar height too. Athletically, he's Jalen Hurts, where I can use him in the run game. He can activate the run game and use his legs on his own. I think that that's the best case scenario in terms of the ceiling. And if you get that type of quarterback, man, you can win the Super Bowl with a guy like that. We've seen Baker Mayfield. Was he in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs one year when Mahomes got knocked out or something like that? And I think it was the backup quarterback, Chad Henne, that won the game. And they're pretty sure they cheated the Browns. I was rooting for Baker Mayfield and the Browns to win that game. Might have been it was either divisional round or AFC Championship game. Either way, we've seen him get to the playoffs and play well. We've seen Jalen Hurts get to 2 Super Bowls and outplay Mahomes in both, right? Like, we've seen that. So when I say if you combine that quarterback, those two quarterbacks into one, you absolutely can win the Super Bowl with that guy. So with the mentality, the gamer mentality of Baker Mayfield, the physical throwing ability of Baker Mayfield with the athleticism, or might be even better athleticism in terms of top end speed, the athleticism and rushing ability and pocket mobility of a Jalen Hurts combined with that physical throwing ability of a Baker Mayfield, you have yourself a legitimate quarterback. You have yourself a franchise quarterback. And that's what I believe John Mateer's ceiling is. But again, he's got to clean up. He's got to clean up those things. And for those watching on YouTube, I'll put the graphic back up again. The pros: athleticism, mobility, arm strength, arm talent, gamer mentality. The concerns: turnovers and bunches, protecting the football, decision-making. Harness that decision-making, harness that aggressiveness, less sidearm throwing action. Gotta cut that out. If he does those things, guys, I truly believe Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer, number one, let me say this. I believe he was going to have a Heisman type of season, the way he started last year. Yes, he had the 3 interceptions, the 5 passing touchdowns, but after, he went to 6-3 after week 4. If he doesn't hurt that thumb, one of the biggest what ifs of the college football season, because I believe they don't lose to Texas if he's healthy, especially the way Arch was playing up to that point. They don't lose to Texas if he's healthy. Okay, I truly believe that. I believe he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country before he got hurt. And now if he changes some things and works on it and stays healthy, and I believe I was reading a report about how he's talked about how the thumb feels closer to truly being 100% now. And then also, and here's another note, antidote to keep in and to tuck away. He talked about how he's been basically meeting with and dealing with Coach Brent Venables, who's a defensive-minded coach, and how he's helping him see the game and read defenses. That's it. Listen, go back to that clip, guys. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to YouTube, type in Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Ed Reed. And they're in the office. You got your quarterback with your head coach, who's a defensive-minded coach. And they're sitting in there talking about Ed Reed and kind of devising a plan on how they want to attack the Ravens defense and how they want to neutralize the impact of Ed Reed. When you have a defensive-minded coach, your quarterback should always be able to go to him and learn the game even more. Help him understand defensive rotation shifts. Hey, if you see this safety alignment, these are the potential options that you have, right? If you're seeing single high, that means middle of the field closed. And if they stay in that, what's the coverages you're going to see? Cover 1, cover 3, right? Typically. Now, could they come out and single high, and that low hole strong safety at the snap or right before the snap rolls back, right? He rolls back. Now you're getting cover 2, Tampa 2. right? You can do that if you got a guy athletic enough to retreat back quick enough and get depth. But yes, a defensive. I love reading that about how Brent Venables is helping him, and he's talked about it. Like, we say on this podcast, guys, a lot all the time. Just because you go back to school doesn't mean you're going to develop. But one thing John Mateer said in the article I was reading, I can't remember what site, and I'll put it in the probably in the description of YouTube and all stuff like that. I want to credit the author of the article. And I was reading it, and he talked about how going back and being a year older and just seeing more, basically how the game is. He expects the game to slow down for him. If the game truly slows down for John Mateer and he reaches his peak, this is a Heisman candidate. This is a game-changing quarterback in college football, an impact quarterback in the NFL, and a potential first-round pick and franchise quarterback for an NFL team. I'm telling you right now, that's what he can be, and that's why I'm excited for John Mateer, guys. Because listen, I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate everybody. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you. And that's why we're able to celebrate 10 years of being in business. Coming up on tomorrow's show, guys, I'm going to introduce you guys to a receiver, because we've been talking about receivers too. Keith will be back on Wednesday. I'm going to talk about a receiver, KJ Duff, out of Rutgers, 6'6", 200-plus pounds. I'm intrigued. That's the only thing I'm going to tell you. I'm intrigued. So coming up on tomorrow's show, I'm going to be talking about KJ Duff. So come and join the conversation tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.